This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, all. Thank you once again for joining this webinar session. I'm very grateful for all of you who have joined today's session. A very warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Srinivasan Natarajan. I'm Vijay Narayanan, VP Professional Development of the PMI Chennai chapter, and I will be the moderator of this session. As always, just a few quick housekeeping announcements before we get underway. Please be on mute throughout the session. One PDU will be provided to all attendees of this session. I will share a feedback form on the chat window later during this webinar. Please fill and submit so that I can process your PDUs without any delay. Right, let us get into the session. The topic for today's session is product management and its relevance in 2021 and beyond. And it's going to be presented by Mr. Srinivasan Natarajan. Mr. Srinivasan is currently working for Amazon AWS as Enterprise Support Lead. He helps customers to operate, adopt, and scale their businesses using AWS cloud computing services. He has over 20 years of experience in project, program, product management, and technology management for customers. He has worked on digital transformation projects for customers, businesses for the last 8 years. He's an experienced professional in innovation management and coaching. He's also a PMP, PGMP, and Scrum Master certified. Now, without further ado, it is our pleasure to welcome Mr. Srinivasan to this webinar. Let me just see if I can mute this person.
Yeah, so is it audible now?
It is now, yes, perfect.
Yeah. Hey, thanks Vijay for the warm welcome. Good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here presenting to the audience in PMI Chennai chapter as part of the knowledge sharing session. Today, right, what I'll be doing is I'll be going through what is product management, how typically product management is done, how it is relevant in the industry, what is happening in the startup world, right, how product development is happening across the industry, and then what needs to be done for successful product management, right, what would be the right process to do it. So that's what we'll be covering as part of today's session. So let us get started. Right, so I wanted to share some initial view about how the overall the startup India industry is working or performing. Right, this is based on a recent NASSCOM report. Right, so so far 40,000 plus startups are being recognized, and the startups have created a lot of jobs within the industry, and around 175,000 jobs in 2019 and 20. And we have got with the recent addition of 14 more unicorns in 2020, right, we are nearing 50 unicorns in India. So why specifically product and startup, right? So predominantly most of the products are is built primarily through the startup, primarily in the information technology and digital transformation, while there are enterprise scale products that has been there for quite a long period, right? So while we will be discussing specifics about startups and how typically lean product management works, this largely applies to any B2B or enterprise level products as well, right? So this is applicable there as well. So with this background, I wanted to look at, right, so we have got 37 unicorns, and if you look at the overall or startup ecosystem, right, India stands at third position with respect to the startup ecosystem, primarily number one being US and the second being China. There is a huge gap between us and then the number one and number two startup ecosystem. So if you look at it, right, so we started the journey with from around the start of 2010-11, where we had good number of e-commerce and Paytm, and then Voila, which is your taxi booking services, right? So it started making the journey, and in around 2018 we had good number of SaaS startups as well, Freshworks, BillDesk, and then Policy Bazaar, and other food delivery and education related unicorns coming up. Unicorns are typically any startup which reaches a 1 billion evaluation, right? So valuation. So that is when we call them as unicorns. And we started seeing more unicorns coming up in 2019 and 2020 as well, with more SaaS startups and B2C startups coming up. And what is being forecasted is, right, we reached around 40 to 50 unicorns in the last 10 years, and this is going to get accelerated, and then we are going to see additional 40 to 50 unicorns in the next couple of years. Maybe the next span of 3 years itself, this is going to happen. So there is going to be large focus, not just within India and all over the world, where new products, new ideas get executed and it comes to the market, right? So while this is a very good news, where a lot of things are happening, and then a lot of focus not only on enterprise organizations but on startups, and even enterprise organizations looking at product-led growth as one of the strategy within their portfolio. We have to look at some metrics around, right, how the startup ecosystem is working. This for overall globally, right? So if you look at it, 90% of the new startups fail, and there are millions and thousands of startups that come up, right? Even in India, during even the pandemic, even 2020, we had 1,400 plus startups coming up, right? Overall in the world, we have 100,000 plus startups coming up every year, and 90% of them fail, which is alarming number, right? And even 78% of venture-backed startups, where ventures fund for the different phases of the startup, there are failures on that as well. 50% of the business fail around the 5th year, and only 33% of the startups survive for more than 10 years, right? And 40% of the startups actually turn to profit. So this and also if you look at the last one, right, where the highest failure is primarily on the information technology space, that you will see in the coming slides. So information industry, so the maximum number of failures on the startup is again on the information industry. So it is all the more relevant that, right? So while innovation ideas are great, but there should be disciplined execution and planning that is required for product organizations to be successful. So if you look at some more statistics, right, out of these failures, if you look at it on the right top, you see 35%, 34% of them fail because of lack of product market fit. While we are going to discuss in the later part of the discussion, right, you look at what is product market fit, but that is a key aspect that has to be noted, right? And then around 40% goes on not having right teams or not having enough marketing. The remaining items are not so significant. Finance problem, cash flow problems are some of the other problems through which, right, startups fail. So these are some indicative numbers, right, to see what would be the focus area to bringing in more success rates for those product companies or organizations, so that they can be successful in launching the product and it generates revenue, adds value to the organization and also to the customers. And this highlights at the high level, right, by industry. If you look at it, information technology, there are 63% failures, where lesser number of failures are seen in the finance, insurance, and real estate industry. So that is this highlights, right, the importance of having a very rigorous product management focus to bring in more success to the startup ecosystem and the product organizations. So with this background, right, I will dwell into the details of what is a product, what is value management, and then we will get into productizing those processes and how we can effectively do it. So at the high level, if you look at a product is a goods or a service offered to an organization which gives benefit or a value both objectively and subjectively, right? So while you take any of the apps or your phones, iPhones, or your OnePlus devices, right? Any product that you take, right? While it solves our key objective physically, and also you get an experience, and that is subjective, right? So that experience is very key, right? So those are both these aspects have to be looked at when you are going to build products, right? And this is a picture which demonstrate on the left hand side, right? It's more of a product. It's a pure product, be it any device, your set-top box or your DVD players, whatever. It's a pure product. On the right-hand side is pure service, right? And if you look at it from Gmail, right? Gmail is a product but delivered as a service, and Infosys is a pure service organization. But what is happening now in the industries, right? These two are coming together. Product organizations are delivering products as services, and the services organizations are bundling offerings as products. So these two are going to come together and are going to live together, right? And that brings more opportunity, right? Where platform-based products and services are going to come, and more requirements on product management is going to come in the coming years. And we spoke about benefits, right? Which is the value. So it is very important, right? So the product has to provide the value. And what is value? Value is which gives benefits with respect to economic, technical, service, and social, right, aspects. And it gives more than the cost incurred for realizing the benefits. And we can correlate that to marketing management, where the key aspect of marketing management is to create value, you deliver value, and communicate value, so that, right, the end customers and the markets are getting benefited. So with that context, right, so there is a close relation between product and value. So value management is the product management. So the productizing process is more towards how do I manage the value across a different journey of the life cycle, right? So if you look at it, right, so customer value modeling, what is the value that we are going to give it to the customer, and what is the product that we are going to build? And for the value, what we are providing, what is the pricing that we are going to give, right? And then how we are going to position the value proposition to our customers, to the markets, and how we are going to deliver through the channels to the end customer. So those are some key aspects that needs to be looked from a productizing process perspective. And we can term it as, right, so the journey is understanding value. So understand from the customer what is the problem that they have and what is the value that we can give it to them by our solutions, right? By creating those products which is going to solve customers' problem. And how do we capture value? Capturing value is how we are going to price it, how we are going to monetize it, right? What are the mechanisms, pricing models that you are going to use for the value that you're going to give it to the customer. And then you've captured the value, you've created the value, and you've understood the problem. Now how am I going to communicate the value proposition to the customer, right? What are the gains that they're going to get? What are all the pain points I'm going to solve as part of the product? So that is communicating value. And finally, through the sales team, to the delivery network, to the channels you deliver the value, right? So you have the entire value stream, right? You understand value, and then you create the product for that, and then you capture, monetize, what are the monetizing options. Then you reach to the customers, communicate the value, and then deliver the value. So as a product, then in the productizing process, product manager plays a very key role, right? Because value management is product management. Product management has to plays a very key role, where he's the orchestrator of this whole process of the value management end to end, right? So where everyone, every function who is going to manage these values is going to work on those areas, but product manager is the key orchestrator who is going to help make sure that the right orchestration is done for the productizing process to be successful. So we'll get into some more details in the productizing process and the innovation, right? So with respect to understanding the value, it is more about who is the product built for, right? And when it has come to capturing the value, who will pay, how much they will pay, right, for the product or the value that you're going to give. And when it comes to creating value, what requirement to build and how is the key aspect that we are trying to solve this, right? And when you're going to communicate value, it's about positioning, branding, and messaging. And when it comes to delivering value, it is about which channels to leverage and convert ideas to sales, right? So it is the first part, creating value or understanding value, is more about market analysis, understand the market, understand the customer, right? And then how much you will pay, that's about capturing value, right? It is more about strategic value, strategic planning, right? On my pricing model, and how do I build it efficiently. The third one is what requirement to build and how, which is the creating value is the product planning part, and positioning, branding, messaging is the go-to-market part, and delivering finally the product to the customer is the sales enablement part. So further to add to that, right? So market analysis is about how do I, what do I choose to build. Strategic planning is more about how do I build profitably. Product planning is more about how do I build it right. Go to market is about marketing it right, and sales enablement is selling it effectively. So we have to manage the entire ecosystem, and product manager plays a key role in each of those value streams to understand the value, strategically decide what to build, how to build it right with the product teams, agile teams, then work with the go-to-market team on positioning, branding by communicating the value proposition, and then enabling the sales teams to sell the value proposition and sell to the customer and get the feedback back, right? So you continue with this cycle. So this is the high-level productizing process, or the productizing innovation, which has to be followed, right, for us to effectively deliver to any product requirements. So we looked at market analysis, and customer is the key, right? So customer is the key, where we are trying to solve a problem for the customer or give some value proposition to the customer. So everything is dependent on the customer, right? Whether the product that we are going to build is dependent on the customer. So the phases is, right, typically your customer discovery, customer validation, customer creation, and company building. So customer discovery is your understanding value or the marketing analysis that you do. And once you understand the customer, once you understand their problem statement, then you look at a solution, and then you go and validate whether that problem really exists, right? Only for, because we would have looked at a representative sample of hundreds or 200s when you do the discovery, right? Then you go and validate with the subset of market and market segment identified whether the problem really exists, and am I going to solve that problem, and the solution that I'm going to provide, right? We will validate that with the customer, and once it is validated, right, then you go to the customer creation. Customer creation is you have built a product, now you have to take it to the customer, and whether the customer likes whatever product finally you have built, and will take the feedback. And once this is stabilized, the final phase is you scale the growth, and then you build the company, right? So that is the typical development model that you follow, and lean product management is very key for the whole process to be executed successfully. So many of the startups, what we saw is, right, 90% of the startups fail because there is not sufficient time spent on customer discovery, validation, going through the iteration to check on certain aspects, and then move to the customer creation phase, and finally to the growth phase, right? So there should be sufficient time that needs to be spent and validated with your hypothesis and experiments before you take the journey in the customer development model. So to add to what we discussed, so there are three aspects that needs to be looked at, right? What is problem solution fit, product market fit, and business model fit, right? So when I showed initially, there are 35% of startups and product organizations that they fail because they did not have a product market fit. So let's try to understand what it is. So problem solution fit is there a problem worth solving for the customer? So you do a market analysis, you identify, you have an idea, you go and check it to check whether there is a problem that is worth solving. And do customers care enough about my value proposition that I'm going to give? And then are they willing to pay? So you might have a great solution to the problem that they are going to have, but that is not a compelling problem, or they might have their own alternatives. So are they willing to pay? Is something that needs to be validated, right? So as part of the customer discovery process, when we identify the problem, when you go and do the customer discovery, these aspects have to be validated. We will look at how to validate that and further details in the next couple of slides. But problem solution fit has to be first performed, and then you arrive at the minimum viable product, and then you go to the product market fit. Product market fit is when you validated the problem and the solution, that is a fit, the customers are willing to pay. Now you wanted to build a stabilized product, reach to the market, and then make sure that you communicate and deliver the product to larger audience to check actually if the value is getting created and is there enough traction in the market, right? So that is product market fit. We will discuss in detail as we move along. And then you have the business model fit. So when you do the towards the end of the product market fit, you should have a business model fit where you are going to operate profitably, and do I have a scalable business model around my value proposition. So this is a very key aspect that needs to be looked at when you are going to go through the value journey, right? So this is another representation of it, right? So you have a great idea, there is a foundation, and you have a problem solution fit, you bootstrap you have a MVP validated. Now you are going to build the MVP successfully to go to check on the product market fit. And once your problem and product market fit is checked, then you scale your solution to deliver, and then accelerate your growth, reach the market, and then make your business model engine work successfully. So we looked at the business model fit. So this is a very important aspect, right? I've given an example of a business model canvas for Airbnb. So this is a very key asset that a product manager or a group product director or the organization CEO wants to see from a business model perspective. So there are 9 key segments in this business model canvas. The 5 that I am highlighting here on the right hand side, right, is primarily towards innovation and creation, right? The left hand side 4, which I am highlighting, is all towards my efficiency, right? Logical things that we execute. So this BMC is correlated to how our right brain and left brain operate, right? So it's a very key asset that a product manager has to build to understand who are my customer segments, right? What is my persona? In this case of an Airbnb, it is a host and a guest, right? 2 personas. You can go further into which segments, right? Which industry you want to go, which segment, which region, which country. To that level, you can go as we build upon this BMC. This is a very key asset that needs to be built to have a complete understanding of the business model that we are going to execute on. And for this customer segment, what is the value proposition I'm going to give for the host, right? For the host, simple and secure to publish. I can make extra money. I can use my available house to rent it to someone, right? Then I have full control of it. I get continuous orders. From a guest perspective, it is easy to it, right? I save money, easy to browse, easy to book. I get a lot of amenities and I get a great experience. This is a value proposition. Then how do I reach to my customers? Through these channels, right? They built a platform, which is the website, and the other the go-to-market strategies, marketing, media coverage, digital, and that stuff. Then how do I maintain customer relationship? Is again through my platform and personalized recommendations, mailers, or you get notifications, and then the support team who helps through the relationship. And the capturing value is the revenue streams, right? Now how I am going to monetize it? I'm going to monetize by, there are multiple pricing models based on the product. In this case, it's going to be a fee that is going to be collected from the host for Airbnb, and then for traveler fee that is going to be collected. If it is going to be a software or a SaaS product, it will be more towards subscription or licensing fee, right? So those will be my revenue streams. Or you can have training, professional services as revenue streams for those products. Where you can bring in more revenue streams to the thing. So these are the key aspects, right, where you think and then understand about your product, and then you decide on it, right? And then the left hand side is more towards who are my partners, right? While I'm going to build this product, right? my IT provider, my host, the corporate travel partners, insurance companies, professional photographer services who are going to upload my photos. Those are my key partners. What are the key activities I will do? Develop the platform, right? Sales and marketing. What are key activities I will do to build the product? And then key resources, right? My IT team to build it, my engineers, and then the properties that needs to be available to do it. So typically, most of the startups, what they do is, right, they have a solution, they have a great idea, they build it fully, and then go and try to find the market. Most of the failures is because of that. So when you have an idea, when you have done some initial analysis, we have to build a model, and then your solution is not the product, right? Your just the value proposition that you're going to give is not the product. The product is your BMC, business model canvas. There are other canvases as well, right? Lean canvas, you can leverage any one of them, but this gives a complete business view. All these 9 categories is your product. Your solution is not the product. That is a key aspect that needs to be understood here, right? And this needs to be revisited as we move along and look at which of the areas you're going to tweak based on what you have learned from the market, so that you're going to gain more market traction. So this is a very important framework that can be leveraged by product managers for effectively communicating their business model. And when we talk about product market fit, right, we talk about problem solution fit, and then we talked about product market fit. You have a product market fit when all these 9 key categories are working fine, where you have customer segments, your value proposition is accepted. Through your channel, you are getting customers, you are maintaining the relationship, you have built the product, right? And you have a constant revenue stream. So you get, in case of Airbnb, right, you get monthly orders, daily orders, where they are booking your facility and they are booking through your portal, they are utilizing your property, and you get your cash flow, you get your revenue. So, right, and you are making profit out of it, right? You manage the cost structure, right? This I think I've not covered. So all the cost that is involved to build the product is cost structure. So you keep the cost structure efficient, generate revenue. Your whole BMC is working. That is when, right, the engine is working, where your marketing is working, you are in touch with customer, you understand, prioritize features, you are going to build continuously, deploy continuously, and your product is being used. That is when you have achieved the product market fit. Many organizations try to accelerate growth, getting large investment without even validating the product market fit. So this is one key aspect that from a product management perspective, building a good business model early in the stage and keep iterating on it is a very key aspect. So we'll move on. So once we have validated the customer, you document your plan A, right, the BMC, business model canvas or lean canvas, and then you identify initially for the problem solution fit, right, your assumptions, hypothesis, what experiments you are going to run, whether this product will work or not, or will this customer accept or not, my MVP is correct or not, right? So you go and test all those, whatever risky parts of the plan, and systematically test your plan to validate your problem solution fit. And then again, once you have a problem solution fit, then you will do the validation again through the cycle for the product market fit. So it's a continuous iterative process. And how a typical innovation funnel and a product organization has to operate is, right. So while the initial phase, ideation, strategy alignment, exploration, selection is all on your understanding value, customer discovery, strategy, all that comes in, product strategy comes in. The key aspect is problem solution fit that we spoke, right? You do a problem discovery, you validate your solution, you have MVP definition. So here I wanted to highlight about an example, right? A food delivery company. Maybe we can take an example of Food Panda, how we did that, right? So typically startups, if they don't do a lean product management, is right, they build a product. So if it is a food delivery app, they build an app. It has the payment gateway for the payment. You have integration with all the vendors to bring all the variety of items from your vendors, your restaurants, and then customer can select an order. Then you have your logistic and shipment, right, where you place the order to vendors, you have a delivery guy go on picking up the order and then delivering it, and you track the whole thing. So you cannot build all this when you are going to do the problem solution fit, right? You'll be operating it very lean. So what food vendor did is a very good example, right? So what they did is to validate, right? So let's say they chose Chennai as the base where they want to validate, right? So they understood food delivery is a good business, but will my when I give a app, whether customers will buy it or not. So they want to test it in a couple of places within Chennai, Anna Nagar, Adayar, Besan Nagar, right, Alwarpet. So they go and reach customers through different channels, right, through campaigns, and identify customers and make them log into your web page. And in the web page, it will be a simple HTML page with no major functionality. They will place the order. Say they can choose an Adayar Anand Bhavan and place the order. And once it is placed, it writes to a file. You don't have backend integration to your gateway or to your vendors or your logistic and shipment. They just look at the file, go and buy. The founders actually, they went, bought the item from Adayar Anand Bhavan if that was the order, and then delivered it to the customer, collected the money on cash on delivery. That is the way you validate. You don't spend a lot of money to do it, right? So that's the way the MVP is validated, minimum viable product. So it is the minimum viable product which gives value to the customer, but it is not a productionized version. Once it is validated, then you go to the product market fit, where you launch the MVP, minimum viable product, where you have your Scrum teams, your product teams, where they build it for scalability, security, performance. You launch it, and then you test your business model, refinement and optimization, and make sure that the engine, the whole BMC is working. Your business model is working, generating revenue, getting new customers added, right? And you have a positive cash flow. So once you have reached the stage, you have reached the product market fit, and then you go to the scale and go to different markets and then scale, right? Be it go to different cities or go to different countries. That is when you need to scale, where you have to get more funding and do it. If you don't plan it effectively, right, that is when most of the startups fail, right? Initially, it will be honeymoon period, problem solution fit will be done. You will go to the product market fit. You will have customers buying in. You will be very happy, but there is no guarantee that you're going to have constant customers coming in and buying, right? So that this needs to be validated before you go to the next phase. So the other aspect that needs to be looked at is, right, so there should be a good level of product mindset when you're going to build it, right, as a product manager. So you should have a growth mindset where you continuously look at how do I grow, what are the do I grow by multiple customer segments or through different channels or bring in new different revenue streams? How do I price it effectively for the value proposition? Then communicate effectively with your stakeholders and with the media and the customers. There's going to be a lot of active listening, right? Your design thinking, active listening is very, very important, where you do your UX, empathizing with the customer, understand more. You should measure and learn, right? Your KPIs for your product. Is it working fine, right? Both your internal and external KPIs. There is good amount of leadership for product managers, because product managers are cut across functions and they don't have direct line of reporting, right? So you should know how to influence and influence your organization, your teams without authority, communicate effectively, work with a lot of medias, do a lot of presentation. Right? Those are some key aspects that is required for a product manager. And you should have a sense of the market, user curiosity to understand and learn new things and experiment and pivot, right? So you go to the market, you experiment something, but the market is or the customer is looking something different, right? So you pivot from it and then change your business model, change your product, and take action swiftly. Agility is the key, and main aspect is prioritization. So product managers should prioritize what they are going to do, what they are going to build, right? And then have a product vision for the next 2 to 3 years, stage and forecast. So these are some key aspects that a product manager should have. While they look at the overall value stream, orchestrate, right? That is a key aspect that needs to be looked from a product mindset, not just a product manager, but the overall product teams as well. So how product manager interacts, right? Product manager interlocks with internal teams, external teams, and customer and markets. Product manager is very close to the customer throughout the life cycle. They will work with external teams, analysts, partners, thought leaders, channel sales, suppliers, and so on. But they also work very closely with the organizational executives, engineering team, marketing, sales, project program managers, support and enable teams, right? And typically we think that product managers look at requirements, but no, beyond requirement analysis. They look at the overall value stream, the complete orchestration across all the value streams. They champion the customers contacts, build the roadmap, working with the product owners. They are the master orchestrator. So their ultimate objective is to deliver delight with compelling, competitive, profitable solutions to market problems, right? Now, there is a misconception, right? Who is a product owner and a product manager? Product manager primarily is focused on creating value part, where you have your product discovery teams, you have your product delivery teams, your agile teams, where product owner works with the product manager, provides all the required information, writes the user stories, prioritizes for the agile teams, and then closely works with the key customers to test whatever you have built, right? And then provides the feedback to your steering teams, executives, engineering, marketing team. So product manager primarily focuses on the creating value part, while the product manager looks at the entire value stream. So product owner on the productizing process is a master orchestrator of the product planning process. So building the product roadmap with the product manager, working with agile teams, expanding the epics and stories, prioritizing to the development teams, test it frequently with the end users and customers, right? So they translate the market problems or the MVPs into actionable, acceptable solutions. So that is a key role of a product owner that we need to understand. So where does project and program manager come into play, right? So you have your agile project manager or scrum master, part of your creating value, product delivery teams, right? So you have your scrum teams where you execute with them, you deliver the sprint, deliver to the requirements, share the metrics of the sprint, release KPIs, how successful the team is doing it, and then communicate across to the key stakeholders, product owners and product managers as to how they are progressing in building to those minimum MVP or the MMF, whatever that is relevant at the stage of the development, right? And if it is a large product enterprise organization and a lot of portfolios that is being managed, there will be a program manager as well, where they will help integrate between the value streams, right? So the product owner and the scrum master are specifically on the creating value part, all right? So program manager manages the integration between different value streams, different programs and products and projects which for the launch to be successful, integrates into the overall program or the portfolio, the product roadmap details, and communicates to the relevant stakeholders for that, right? So there comes a project and program manager role when you are building products and group of products linked with your organizational objective. So I wanted to now highlight some of the key takeaways and wrap up the session, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions, right? So key takeaway is that is going to be more number of products that is going to be built out of India and overall across the world. There is going to be a lot of investment that is going to happen in startups and on the product management. And enterprise organizations have already adapted. Very large enterprises like Google, Amazon, Salesforce, Oracle, all of them leverage the productizing process to build even SaaS-based products or their enterprise products, right? It is just not the startups who use it. This can be used across the industry, across B2B, B2C, enterprise segment, startup segment, SaaS organizations, whatever you call for, right? So there is going to be huge demand that is going to come with more unicorns coming in, more investment coming in the startup. There is going to be need of skilled product managers and product leaders, right? So understanding how the end-to-end product management works, what are all the key processes, what are all the key validations that needs to be done, right? So those needs to be understand to effectively deliver products which is going to be successful and the whole business model to work. And it is just not product managers, we need more product leaders, right, who are actively involved in the end-to-end productizing process and who makes functional decisions contextually, right? So they understand the overall productizing process, and the product leaders are those, right, the CEOs or your senior leaders who takes decisions based on the input given by the product managers. And many of the organizations, right, even in the enterprise organizations in their portfolio, they are adding in product managers and product leaders who are going to bring product-led growth, right, the productizing the processes, right? So it is a very key aspect. And productized approach is essential for success of products. So you need to understand the lean product management and effectively do it right at the different stages. Look at problem, solution fit, product market fit, build a business model, understand the business model, and then make all these components work to each other and follow that, right? So at least 3 to 6 months do problem, solution fit. And once you know that there is a solution, the MVP is working, then build a productionized solution for your product market fit. Make sure that the whole ecosystem of the business model is working, then accelerate for the growth, right? So many of the companies fail in that. Without validating the product market fit, they go into the acceleration phase, invest a lot of money, and the startup fail. And learning more about lean product management, business model canvas, lean canvas, understand really what is MVP. MVP is a myth for most of them, right? Problem, solution fit, market fit, and then when to accelerate is a key aspect. And product management is just not for entrepreneurship or startup or enterprise organizations. It can be leveraged even for intrapreneurship, right? So these lean product management can be applied to even services organization or any enterprise organizations where you can build offerings. You can bring your own idea and try to implement it within the organization, leveraging these aspects and make it successful. So last but not least, I want to end with the quote, right? Life is too short to build something nobody wants. This is a quote by Ash Moria. So life is too short, let's build something that is going to be meaningful, successful, and to make the product world successful. Right. With that note, I would want to conclude my speech, and I'm open for any questions.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Srini. That was crisp and at the same time extremely informative. I was really hooked on to all your slides. There was so much of information there, and I think you did a pretty good job in explaining that very well. Thank you so much once again. We have quite a few questions pouring in, but I also welcome others to ask Srini, because he is the expert in this area. He's worked with a lot of top companies. So please use this opportunity to quiz Srini on all your product management questions. But let me start off. The first question is from Mr. Kasturi Rangan Ramesh. How do we manage competitors either during the innovative stage or the development stage of the product development?
Okay, so competitors play a very key role, right? So definitely when it is going to be at the understanding value and in the strategic planning phase, definitely you need to look at the competitors, right? To understand what is that they are giving. It's not only the competitors, you also need to look at the alternatives, right? So suppose I go for I want to build a food delivery app. It is just not the competitors. I should not just look at Zomato or my Swiggy, right? Or a Swiggy app. What are the current alternatives? So if there are alternatives for a customer, I can walk into a restaurant nearby, right? If there are no more outlets coming near, or apartments or houses, people can choose that. So you have to look at both competitors, alternatives. So within a competitive segment, there are blue ocean strategies as well, right? You can have a business model where your strategy is to build something where no one has ventured into it. So it is a blue ocean where you don't have competitors. There are organizations like Amazon that I work to, right, where while we look at competitors, but we look at what value we deliver to the customer more than competitors. So it depends on your strategy. It's more of a strategic planning activity with the product manager and the CEOs, as to look at what are the competitors, what value proposition that they give, what differentiation you are going to bring from the competitors, what value proposition you're going to be different from what they give, right? It can be on your pricing, it can be on the channels, how we are going to deliver it. So many aspects have to be looked at continuously, right? So at the understanding value stage, at the strategic planning stage, and it's a constant activity, right? When you do repeated market analysis, you will look at competition as well.
Great. Thanks, Srini. A lot of questions are pouring in now, so I'll see if I can just rush them through. The next one is from Mr. Saminathan. How is risk managed? Is it upfront or just in time?
The key aspect of productized process is manage risk at the front, right? So when we look at the problem solution fit, when you build the BMC, you list down your assumptions and you test your riskiest part of the plan, right? So right. Risk, the very advantage of this model is, right, you don't invest a lot of money at the initial stages. You validate your assumptions, risks efficiently at the early stage to iron those out. So definitely risk management is required. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, the next was from Madhu. Can project managers be trained to become product managers or leaders? Any pointers to real-time courses or trainings?
Yes, definitely. Right. So I'm a project manager by myself. I started my project management career way back in 2008. Later on towards 2016, when I was working for a large customer, when I was doing digital transformation, and as part of the digital transformation, customer had in their overall agenda, right, the vision for in 2016 when they had the 2020 vision, they switched from a projectized approach to building products to productized approach, and I was part of it in that transformation. Right, that is when I got interested into it. So definitely the project management skills is very key, right? So as a project managers now pretty much work on as a scrum master or a agile project manager or a scrum master with but it is all more towards your creating value engineering teams. Now you have to open up, understanding value, capturing value, communicating value, which is your strategy, your marketing, and then how do I do market analysis, more of design thinking, UX experimentation. So pretty much project managers can take up product manager, if not product manager, at least leadership role within your same organization, or that there are plenty of full-time courses and trainings are available. Couple of things you can look at is product school. The other thing is I am actually doing my executive MBA in product leadership, Institute of Product Leadership, in one organization who give a certification program or executive MBA programs. And recently, last 1 year, many Unacademy and IIMs have also come with product management courses. So definitely you can do that, and I would recommend, right, if you are a good book reader, you can follow Ash Maurya. I highlighted the name and read his books, right, Running Lean and Scaling Lean. You will get a good picture of it in a couple of days. He has explained it very well in simple terms, and then you can start experimenting it in your own ideas or your own organization, those concepts, while you can look at learning it full time through a training or so.
Great. Thank you for the pointers. Very useful. Thank you. The next one's from Bharanidharan. In which stage analyzing the competitors come into play? Particularly, I think he's more interested in knowing the productizing, competitive advantage, those kind of things that you have in your slide. What particular stage do you generally embark on doing this?
See, you will do that right when you are building your strategy, right? So I have understood the customer, I have a problem. Now you need to look at what I am going to give to how I am going to solve that problem, right? What are all the customers' current pain point? What are all the how I am going to solve the pains? How I am going to give gains? And while doing it, you should also look at the competitors, right? How is your competitors doing it? Why would someone use your product against your competitors, right? Is there a value proposition? So that you will include that as part of your strategy, and those will be added as part of your overall epics and stories, right? And you will prioritize, right, what you're going to do to beat the competition and prioritize those. And it is going to be an iterative process, right? The product managers have to continuously look at competition, what the market is going towards, continuously study the market, look at competition, and then prioritize features or solutions or segments based on the competition. In my opinion, it is going to be an iterative process. Definitely looked at the understanding and capturing value and creating value stage, but you have to continuously get feedback from your sales team, from your go-to-market team, and right, then adjust your overall product roadmap based on how the competitors are doing it.
Okay, the next one is from Balaji. How do we bridge the gap that arises due to product development and managing the existing program? So let me just read that again. So how to bridge the gap that arises due to product development and managing the existing program?
So the thing is, right, so that your product should be aligned to your overall organization strategy, right? If it is an enterprise organization, the product should be your strategy, and either as part of the program or as part of the portfolio, building a product should be in the strategy. So it should be very much aligned. So if it is not going to be aligned, right, we are not going to be successful. So the overall strategy should be approved. There should be a very clear-cut roadmap incorporated into the overall program plan, and you deliver to those KPIs, right? So that's the only way we can make it successful. It cannot run separately. It should be aligned to the overall organization strategy.
Right, and there's a lot of appreciations on the chat window, Srini. People, it's just overwhelming response saying that it's an excellent session and a great overview of product management. In continuation with that, Venkatesh also asks that, is there any source which helps the entrepreneurs to know the aids that are available from the government for the startup?
So there are many bodies, right? One is NASSCOM, and there are many incubation programs, right? Many of the IITs, IIMs run it, and there are coaches available across, right? Definitely there is a lot more support now. So it is very important that, right, if someone wants to get into the entrepreneur route, before you do that, right, so you'll have to do some initial level of analysis following the productizing process, validate it, and then reach out to any of the sources, right, be it NASSCOM driven program or any of the available coaches. Many organizations are providing support, right, for this entrepreneurship program. So leverage that and do it. But yeah, so that I think the coming years, many more startups and people venturing out on entrepreneurship is going to be there, and understanding this and then effectively executing will bring in more success than failures.
Right, right. And there's also another interesting question from Shantakumar, because most of us here in this community, and particularly people listening to this webinar, are project managers. We've done project management all our life, various stages, and obviously, we are PMP certified, and you are PMP certified too. So, what is, in your view, how do you compare project managers and product managers?
So see, project managers, right? You take agile project management or typical project management is you deliver to a scope, right? You have a scope, you have a cost, right? You have your triple constraints and deliver to it. Product manager is more towards identifying opportunities to build something that will be useful for the organization, where the organization can grow, right? So product manager is not constraining to the engineering or the project management part. They go beyond that. They go beyond that, where they look at opportunities and ideas where it is going to bring new growth opportunities and revenues to the organization. So product manager spends most of the time with the key senior stakeholders and the customers to find out opportunities and strategies that will help the organization for growth. But project managers are more towards executing to a particular scope, right? Even in the agile case, you have a scrum master, you have a sprint. Your scope is, you accept for a scope for the sprint and you deliver to it. It stops there.
Right, right. Yep, I think that makes sense. I think I'm exhausted with the questions from members. I think we've had some great feedback from people. I'll definitely share the feedback with you later on, Srini.
Thank you.
So if there are no more questions, I wanted to wrap this session up. And first of all, thank you so much, Srini, in taking time to actually prepare for this session and delivering it today. It's been great working with you, talking with you. And also, I think this, in a very short time, we put together this session. So a lot of credit goes to you. Thank you for that. We look forward to more engaging sessions from you in future. On behalf of PMI Chennai chapter, I would like to thank you for presenting this session. I will share an e-memento with you later on, Srini. I'll email that to you. So please feel free to share that on your social media handles.
Okay.
So are there any questions? Well, actually, there's one question from a participant, and he would like to know whether you'd be willing to share the PPT with the audience today.
I think it should be okay. What I will do is I will make some slight alterations and share it as a PDF.
Sure.
With give some references to the sources that I looked at, right? So that I'm covered on that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Srini. Once again, yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and And thanks everyone for tuning in today in large numbers. I think we had close to 100 participants today, which is fantastic. So on a Saturday evening. So thank you everyone, and thanks Srini once again for this presentation.
Thanks everyone, and be safe in the corona situation, right? So stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for listening in today. Bye.
Take care. Bye everyone.
Bye.